Well, welcome to this next summer series. We're kicking off today. And by the way, happy 4th of July to everyone, to families, to any visitors who are here among us. Well, the image here evokes J.R.R. Tolkien's story, The Hobbit. Probably you're familiar with this story. Bilbo Baggins lived in a quiet, innocent, and insular place. He lived life in a place called the Shire. A series of visitors to his town influenced him, then set out on a great adventure and leave his home for the first time. He met amazing people. He saw a dragon, and he came home changed, both with great awe and gratitude for the amazing experience he had, but also with a burden to carry, that ring that made him part of a much, much bigger story. So my friends, life is short, isn't it? Our opportunities in life are limited, including our opportunities to serve. And as a church, we want to try to provide as many opportunities as possible. Service, as I often have preached about, is a step or a good and necessary habit in being a lifelong disciple or follower of Jesus Christ. As followers of Christ, we are called to serve. And here at St. John's, we make a distinction between two kinds of service. There's ministry and mission. So ministry is any kind of service inside the church for one another. We have wonderful ministers here who serve in so many different capacities. Mission is outside the church. In any way that you serve as Christ outside the walls of the church or outside our congregation. So last week, a few of our parishioners here returned from their own adventure, a mission trip to Guatemala. And the hope of their amazing journey, which we're going to hear about with a few testimonies the next few weeks, is to inspire many others here in our congregation to go out on mission and then come back again transformed. We look forward to hearing those testimonies starting today. Well, it turns out that God sends all of us forth, no matter what, without exception. That's demonstrated in today's gospel. Well, Luke tells us this. At that time, the Lord appointed 72 others whom he sent ahead of him in pairs to every town and place he intended to visit. So only in Luke's gospel do we hear of the 72 others besides the 12. This number implies that Christ has sent out not just the apostles, not just the professional religious people, priests, nuns, professional missionaries, but every Christ follower is included in this number, the 72, to go out to the towns and villages here that he intends to visit, to go ahead and prepare the way for him. Well, that's what Christ is calling them to. Luke continues this passage. He said to them, "The harvest is abundant, but the laborers are few, so ask the master of the harvest to send out laborers for his harvest. Go on your way. Behold, I am sending you like lambs among wolves. Carry no money bag, no sack, no sandals, and greet no one along the way. And whatever house you enter first say, peace be to this household." Well, you know, there's a desperate need in the world for missionaries. A desperate need for those to go out in the name of Christ, to be his hands and feet. There's a desperate need for Christian service just in general. Whenever I or others have traveled to other countries, especially those that are poor, we witness incredible poverty. Most people here in the United States, especially younger people, have never ever seen. Most of the work done on mission is service that ideally empowers the local people to provide for their own material needs. That's what we'll hear what our missionaries did in Guatemala. They're going to explain that. Then there are people's spiritual needs. And the thing is, so often the poor feed our own spiritual needs. So in Guatemala, the village that our missionaries went to only has a priest come once every 3 or 4 months. Can you believe that? And yet the faith there, I am told, is incredibly, incredibly strong. It impacts their entire day and their entire life. The church in the village they visited is led entirely by lay people. People work together to provide for both the material and the spiritual needs of one another. Well, back to today's gospel here. And these instructions Jesus gives, like previous instructions he gave just to the 12, a very clear, urgent mission. There's a certain urgency to the mission. He says, for example here, carry no money bag. There's a single-mindedness that is detached from the missionary's own needs and focus on the task at hand, to bring peace, to go from place to place, announcing the kingdom. So there's a big difference between being a missionary and being a tourist. Missionary has that urgency, that single-minded focus. Well, if you read then the rest of this passage in Luke chapter 10, Jesus implies there's going to be resistance to going out. There's going to be any number of things that don't go as planned. Any mission experience faces obstacles, problems, last-minute changes. And that happened actually this last week for our crew in Guatemala. And we'll hear about it. They're going to share that with us. And then when they return, we hear the missionaries' report. In the passage today, the 72 returned rejoicing and said, Lord, even the demons are subject to us because of your name. Jesus said, do not rejoice because the spirits are subject to you, but rejoice because your names are written in heaven. An incredible experience of spiritual encounter like this has to be shared. Missionaries have to share the stories of the incredible poverty of those whom they encounter, yet also the incredible faith that they have passed on, how they are inspired and transformed and changed. These stories in the lives of the people they met inspire and build up faith in all of us. Well, my friends, as I said, as Christ commands us, we are sent forth. Any experience of service outside the church, sacrificing our time, using our gifts, should increase our understanding and our desire to serve one another. As the saying goes, we think globally and we act locally. Well, my challenge for you as we begin this July series this summer is that you take some time, your vacation, for ways to serve. Look for ways to serve. Here at St. John's, we have what we call our local partners in mission, nonprofits that share our values, that have a local impact. So, for example, the Bushkill Outreach, Maddie's Angels, Valor, Safe Monroe, the Pregnancy Resource Center. And there's so many others out there in which some of our parishioners serve in. Perhaps your service is as simple as helping a neighbor or a senior citizen or a friend who needs yard work or a ride to the doctor's office. And serving, you're writing your own adventure story. You're going there and back again. When serving, we are the hands and feet of Christ. That's good news worth sharing. And so now, I'm pleased to share with you the testimony of one of our missionaries, Gail.
Hello, my name is Gail, and I wanted to first take a moment to thank Father Greg for allowing me to speak with all of you today. I'm honored to share my experience from our recent mission trip to Guatemala. I must first thank my niece Noelle, Analia, and the Church of St. John's. Without their encouragement and support, this journey would never have happened. Last October, on World Mission Day, Analia shared a testimony about her trip to Kenya. At that moment, I realized I've been yearning for a way to serve differently than I've served in the past. I had been waiting and praying and realized this was a clear sign for me. Her testimony was that sign. Although excited, I admit I was nervous. This would be my first time traveling outside of the United States. A few months later, Noel called to invite me on a mission trip to Guatemala. Having just watched a documentary on Guatemalan communities and even dreaming of going, I knew immediately this was my chance to reconnect with my faith. From the moment I reached out to Analia, her meticulous planning and guidance, along with the support of 410 Bridge, put me at ease. Their passion for serving the local community was contagious. They believe that small contributions from many can create lasting change, and they proved it. In Guatemala, I witnessed firsthand how people can thrive with very little. Their faith and generosity, despite material scarcity, humbled me. Not once did they ask for money or gifts. All they asked for were our prayers. This taught me that our presence, our time, our attention, our solidarity can be the greatest gift of all. Working alongside the team and the local children were pure joy. Their bright smiles as we taught, played, and learned together reminded me that true happiness comes not from possessions, but from human connection. During home visits, we planted in family gardens and cooked alongside our hosts, and their willingness to share their daily life, teaching us to farm, cook, and laugh together, revealed the true richness of their community. Visiting the homes of the elderly and disabled, praying with them, and listening to their stories opened my eyes to the challenges they face each day. Yet despite those hardships, their warmth and resilience showed me that we all have far more capacity to give than we often realize. Though I hope our work leaves a positive mark on the community, the truth is Guatemala left a far deeper mark on me. Their faith, their hope, and their generosity have transformed the way I understand service and solidarity. Thank you for listening. My one request today is simple. Open your hearts to the possibility of mission. You may discover, as I did, that serving others is the greatest blessing we can receive, just like Jesus serves us.
Okay. And please stand now as we profess our faith.